Are you ready to think big and act bold? Then you are in the right place. This is Innovative Entrepreneurs, a podcast that will bring you the stories, insights, and tips from some of the most successful and innovative entrepreneurs in the world. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and I am here to help you start, scale, and sustain your own entrepreneurial journey. Let's get started. Hello, and welcome back to Innovative Entrepreneurs. I am your host, Erica Bailey, and as always, I am grateful, and I hope that you are able to get value from what my guests and I have to share. Today, I have an exciting guest joining us. I'm really thrilled about this conversation. Michael Greenberg. He is the founder and CEO of Third Brain Automation. It is a consultancy that specializes in driving business growth through digital operations, automations, and AI. He's got a decade of experience, and Michael is a leading expert in optimizing workflows, teams, and tools for entrepreneurs. If you know me, you guys know I'm going to geek out on this. Michael's work in AI is truly remarkable, from automating content creation to enhancing project management. He is also a seasoned entrepreneur with impressive achievements, including raising $1.5 million for a startup and successfully exiting a podcast production agency. Welcome, Michael. Thank you for joining me.
Erica, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, so I've been looking at all your stuff, and like I said, I geek out on the systems and strategies, and that's it. That excites my little marketing brain. But business-wise, did you always want to be an entrepreneur, or was this something that kind of happened as you got older? Tell me your story of why you became an entrepreneur or business owner.
I like to say I was kind of born to it. Both sides of my family are several generations of entrepreneurs. On my mom's side, it was a family plumbing business that got passed down up until my grandfather sold it. And then on my dad's side, it was a mixture of department stores and real estate. So I sort of grew up in that business atmosphere, and many of my family members, many of the people I looked up to were business owners. So I always knew I wanted to be a business person. I just had no idea what that meant or what business was until I got much older.
Yeah, I think when you're born into it, it definitely helps you build that individual self-worth that you can do it. I didn't start in a business-minded family. My mom was a nurse practitioner. My dad worked really hard with a few different jobs. And when I said I want to start a business, it was like, why would you do that? Stick to your job. You have steady income coming in. And I was like, you know what? No, I need to live my why. My why is I wanted to be able to live my life for my kids. I wanted to be able to go to every doctor's appointment, football game, every time he needs to be picked up from school. That was my why of becoming a business owner. And it started a little bit later in my life. But what is your why? It's a hard one, huh?
No, I mean, I think I probably have a simpler why than most. It's just a mixture of money and lifestyle. I don't have the pedigree or background where I can go get paid boatloads of cash at a job. I make more as an entrepreneur, and I have a more flexible lifestyle, even if it is higher stress and more demanding. It's what I've been doing for pretty much my whole career. And I tried working for somebody else. That's actually my one real job, as I like to call it, was actually where I ended up designing what became Third Brain now. But I took that job because it was with a much more experienced entrepreneur, so I could go learn under them. And so that was after I had sold my first business.
Wow. That's pretty impressive. I actually like that answer. You're building your life by choice, by design. And I think that it's so important. Some people, they need to be, at a 9-to-5 job. That's where they find security. I find security in chaos. So being a business owner, I feel like that's where I feel right. That's where I feel good. So I think your why is fantastic. So tell me about third brain automation. Like, what is this? How did you come up with the idea for third brain automation? And then you got to tell me the reason for the name because it's cool.
Literally. So my entire career, I've been sort of straddling the line between business and technology solutions. I got a degree in economics. I dropped out of school originally to go to a coding boot camp. I spent a lot of my career building little apps for people and writing little scripts. And then I spent the rest of the time doing go-to-market strategy and operations and workflow design. And so I've always sort of sat in the middle. With the first business, I watched AI come into transcription and take the cost from $1 to $2 a minute down to 10 cents or less a minute. And that just changed the way you could think about using audio for content.
Mm-hmm.
So I've gotten to see as technology has advanced that sort of skill set of knowing enough tech and enough business and understanding how to put them together is just becoming more and more valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I was working with a business that had 125% customer retention. And I said, oh, I want to be in a business where the customers grow every year. And so I saw the skill set. I looked and I saw, oh, there's a lot of value we can produce, especially inside of larger businesses that already have existing operations going. And so Third Brain came to fill that gap and to become that outsourced digital operations department that could come in and take over all digital infrastructure, all the AI, all of the tools that are all spread out and bring it all together into one integrated business operating system. And then since then, we've been doing that, and we've done a lot of other fun stuff along the way that's related.
Yeah, you definitely are a engineer, business owner. You see the need and you find ways to fill the need. And yeah, I mean, I think that's fantastic. So tell me a little bit more about your platform, what you've got going on here, because I'm very interested in what you offer here. I think there's a lot of opportunity, especially for my listeners, because I don't do all of this. I create, strategies, and I can build out the workflows. Like I can see it from A to B, but I don't physically like to make it happen because I'm always worried I'm going to break something. So talk to me about this platform a little bit.
Yeah. So really how we end up operating is we start by getting to know the customer. And that means two things. One, it means understanding the level that you're at inside your business. And we talk about that in terms of 5+1 levels, because level 0 is analog. We have a lot of clients who are still using pen and paper. They might be using carbon copies as part of their sales process. And so we say there's 5 levels of digital operations, but then level 0 is you're not even digital yet. I know it.
Honestly, you have clients that are still using pen to paper. That's really a thing.
We have 3 automations right now that are explicitly little AI that take a photo of a carbon copy that they take on their phone, and then it takes the data out of the carbon copy and moves it into the CRM.
Wow. Okay. Well, again, you're seeing a need, right? There is that out there. So you found a solution for it. Oh, cool. Okay.
So we sort of the first thing we need to do is figure out what level are they actually at. And most companies are not at level 0 like that. We work with a lot of like construction trades, HVAC, that sort of stuff. And so when it's a 40-year-old, 30-year-old company in those industries, they're very often working on paper like that.
Yeah. I see that in the painting industry. We've been working on some painting industry client social media campaigns. And I see that too. I've noticed that in order to grow in that industry, you have to start growing with your processes, but they still use pen to paper. They write their estimates, right out there with them. And I'm like, hey. So anyway, got sidetracked. Thank you. I get it. Okay.
Yeah,
Keep going.
we deal with that all the time. We'll get them on tablets eventually. But that's sort of levels.
Levels of digital, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Level 1 is what we call cloud-based silos. So that's everything's online now, but none of it talks to each other. Level 2 is integratable, but not normally integrated. So level 2 means we've actually chosen the tools that can talk to each other, so we know it's possible to continue on and get that unified data layer. That is, I'm jumping ahead a little, but level 3. The other big thing we see at level 2 is that companies have no process documentation.
Oh,
So they don't even know who's supposed to do what when.
oh, that hurts. Coming from a business background, that hurts. Like, okay.
I mean, I know you've seen it. And when we get to level 3, that's what we call a unified data layer. So that means we know where all the data is, we know who's supposed to do what when, and we have it all roughly tracked.
Okay. First step to sexy, pretty much, right? Okay.
Exactly. Can't do anything really cool with AI until you've got that in place.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to be able to give it the information it needs to do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that is literally those words right there. Is plain and simple. You have to give AI the information to do what you want them to do. And then they make it perfect. And I don't know. I always say good morning and thank you.
Yep.
Hi and thank you, because you never know, right? If they're
Oh yeah.
going
Look, those overlords are coming.
from the beginning. Oh, okay. So puts it all together, but doesn't have a full plan of action moving forward, right?
Yeah. And at level 3, we roughly know where everything is. So we can say, oh, after the client does this thing, then this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens. We've got what we call a systems map. We might not have everything detailed step by step, but we know the overall flow of the business. Level 4 is when we start to add automation. And so a level 4 process or a level 4 system for us means that we have deployed a series of automations that allow us to remove large parts of the manual process. As a few tactical examples, we've got a client that has about 30 locations for their business. They get receipts from the register that get sent in from every location. And then those receipts have to be matched to the books that they get from the bank. And it takes one person their entire Tuesday, every Tuesday, to do this task. Most of it is them pulling up the receipts in a Google Drive folder and then putting the data in a spreadsheet so they can then compare the information.
So
AI comes in, we can take those 6 hours down to 1 because we remove all the data entry. And that's just a little AI automation.
And imagine what that person who spent their whole Tuesday wasting their time on that, they could be utilized for something that is, either going to make more money. You know what I mean? I think these tools are allowing us to see our team as the ability for expansion versus, 9 to 5, 9 to 5. So I like that. I think that's fantastic. Anything you can do to free up unnecessary time, it only allows other people to grow and expand. Good one. Okay.
Level 4, we've got human in the loop. So they're still actively part of the process multiple times in many cases, but we've removed, normally it's anywhere from 50 to 70% of sort of that grunt work.
Okay.
Level 5 is end state automation. To get from level 4 to level 5, you've normally got to sit at level 4 for 6 to 12 months, because in order to get to level 5, we have to use that data to train an AI to do the things that it couldn't do without being taught specifically.
Because you have to teach AI, just like you have to teach a person. Okay. I'm really, can you tell?
Going from 1 to 5, that's a multi-year process.
Oh, really? And my head is saying it like, but now, okay, keep going.
Most clients are going to go from wherever they are. Year 1, our goal is to get to level 3. That's going to take 6 to 12 months inside of most businesses. And I say most, we are generally working with businesses that have at least 10 or 15 team members. So there's a little more momentum. In a smaller business, if you're at 5 people, figure it's going to take about half the time.
Okay. Well,
Now,
you're on level 3 already.
if you're on level 3 already, then going from 3 to 4 inside of like a complex workflow is going to take a few months.
Okay.
Generally, your documentation isn't good enough. So there's going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks in most cases. With really complex processes, it might take us 6, where we're going back and forth and we're doing the flow chart and doing every step of the process. So that way we know exactly what has to happen in one order. Everybody hates it. Clients often don't understand it when we're doing it. And that's why we don't do month-to-month contracts anymore. Because it takes 3 months to get it done.
Yes, yes. I went through that exact same thing in regards to like, I would do, a month to month just because I like to help anybody. But then I realized, I'm making promises that I can provide results, but the truth is it doesn't happen in a month. And there's certain things, ad spend, stuff like that. But a lot of people come to me for organic social media and they're like, oh, I need to be an influencer in 2 weeks. And I'm starting to actually bring that to the front of my mind, that the stuff actually can take a while. I don't have a magic bullet, right? Like I can't just put a software up and everything, work.
If you ever figure that out, you let me know.
You'll be the first one I call.
Thank you.
Oh, this is really neat. Okay. So what else do we got with this tool? Have you touched all the...
Let's talk about how we measure results, because I think we've talked about how we do it, but what does that actually mean in practice? And like any good entrepreneur who's been on his press circuit as of late, I've got 5 C's to describe the results of digital operations.
Oh, I really liked your brain. Okay. I'm
Consistency.
writing this down.
Oh, I'll send you the white paper afterwards.
Oh, thank you. Okay.
I wrote it last week. I finally sat down after saying this 20 times on air. I got it figured out. Consistency, clarity, capacity, confidence, and cash flow. We're going to break those down.
Yes.
So building these automations, documenting these workflows, putting data in the right places. The biggest way to make that happen is by forcing people to do things specific ways. And that turns into consistency, not only in your processes and in the way you work, but in the way your business operates and grows.
Yes.
When we unify data, we are able to provide clarity, not only to individual team members on what they're doing and how they're doing it, but to you. When we have unified data, we can build the dashboards that actually give you useful metrics.
Okay.
Once you have those in place, then you start to see your team members increase in the amount of work that they can take on. That's capacity. And as a result of all 3 of those, you see more confidence inside of your team in their ability to perform their jobs because they're clear in what they do and how they're measured. And you end up with more confidence in them. And finally, the big one that we're all really doing this for, cash flow. The general measure of like automation inside of a business is going to show up in 2 places. either reduced labor costs or lack of increase in labor costs as a result of the increased capacity. And that lack of increase in labor cost ends up, and in either case, they end up at your bottom line as an increase in your net profit margin.
Okay. Okay.
And so that's really what you're looking for, is if you spend a year or two on digital operations, you want to see yourself making another 4 or 5% every year.
Okay. I hear you. That's okay. So we got all 5?
Yeah, that's all 5.
Oh, yeah. But I love the phases because most people will immediately go from, 0 to cash flow. Like, that's what I need. That's what I expect. But they don't understand the processes and systems that have to go in between point A and point Z. I believe that's where a lot of businesses fail. So when I was doing my master's degree, my thesis was on organizational behavior. So how do you get your employees to feel good about themselves and become brand ambassadors for your company? And a lot of it was, that workflow, taking some of that stress off of the employees. That's that mundane, no fun data entry crap. No, who does it? But come on, you can do better. To moving up in that and feeling good. And so it's interesting that this many years later, I'm not going to age myself, but this many years later, we're now using tools and resources such as yours that are helping elevate those employees. And it's got to start there. It really does. Any successful business has got to start with their staff, their team, their employees. Otherwise, never going to be successful, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I think it depends how you define success. Like,
okay.
I've definitely built businesses that are, let's call it employee light. But they cap out. I mean, you're not going to make more than low 6 figures off a business like that. It's not going to be able to, it's not going to buy you an island. But it can provide a very stable job for somebody.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
You don't have a business, you just have a job.
Yes. Oh, yes. Okay.
If you're not employing people and growing that staff and building that talent, one person employing themselves is self-employed.
100%.
One person employing 10 people is a business.
Okay. Yes. 100%. 100%. This is good.
Sorry, rant over. But
I love random. I'm geeking out. I'm not even going off the script right now because I'm enjoying this conversation so much.
Excellent.
All right. So let's get to, all right. Well, we talked about, proven roadmaps. Is there anything you'd like to touch on? How that, how your proven roadmaps have actually given results back? Do you want to give me an example of study of from?
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So I'm gonna pick some maybe more familiar businesses.
Okay.
So let's start with an e-com agency.
Okay.
I think they do. This one I'm thinking of is a client of ours. They really focus on email and SMS.
Okay.
So they're not an ads agency. They're focused on creating really great creative copy and designs, convert audiences who are already aware of the product and to convert them over and into buyers. They had really scattered operations. This was a team of just about 6 people. So one project manager, the founder, and then copywriters and designers. And what we did was the project manager became an operations manager. We actually set them up in ClickUp and helped them develop more of a productized setup to their offer. So that way they were well systemized and we could actually automate most of their project management. Because once you're only producing 5 different types of things and you know how long they're supposed to take for your business, you can automate the person who follows up and says, hey, do you know that you're going to run behind on this thing? You can automate the assigning of tasks to people based on their capacity. And so that's what we did. which freed up that project manager to go into the operations and spend more time documenting and building out new stuff. And then we integrated their QuickBooks into ClickUp so they could manage all of their invoices from one place. And we actually integrated, they use PandaDoc for signing. So we integrated PandaDoc where they could generate the proposal and see it get signed all from inside of ClickUp, where it would take the email from a little CRM we had set up in there, send it out with all the details, and then when it's signed, it would come back and say, hey, it got signed. And so that let them just take a lot of the manual work out of managing the team. And in the process of being able to do that, we forced them to document and clarify not only what they offered, but how they worked. And as a result, they actually ended up cutting off some custom services they provided to other clients so they could just focus on the things that they really were amazing at. And I can't take credit for this next part, but with the same size team, they ended up getting to 3x the size. And then with the exact same infrastructure over the course of the year, they ended up 5xing the business that year. And right, they are amazing at lead gen. They brought in that business on their own, but I like to think that they would not have been able to take on that amount of business that quickly or with their team without our help. And they agreed. So
I agree. Absolutely agree.
thank you.
It's what I love is that you're not just selling a software or a service. You really are looking at the entire picture and where those gaps are and how you can fill or fix those gaps through these tools. It sounds like it's like custom for each client. So that's what I'm hearing is that you really are seeing the holes from full overall picture and finding a solution.
Yeah. I mean, most businesses have similar problems. So like the automated project management system we put in for them is an architecture that we've put in for many clients. And so when we see this problem, we have a solution, and it's a matter of customizing that solution to the specific business. But I think that is really what sort of sets us apart, at least from some of the other automation firms and other providers in this operation space, is that every client works with me or one of my partners who's a C-level architect advisor who's leading the strategy on these projects and implementations and making sure they do the right stuff. Then they've got a technical project manager that we call a draftsman who's actually leading the day-to-day on the project. And I emphasize technical because they actually know how to use the tools that they are managing and building in. And then we have a team of specialists who go in and do all the stuff that's a little too technical for us to know otherwise.
Oh, this is really neat. You're obviously doing some really cool stuff with AI. So how do you see AI transforming in the landscape of digital operations and content creation in the next few years? Do you think it's going to over marketers' jobs?
Oh, yeah, I mean, so I think I want to clarify a couple of things. One, when we're talking about AI here, at least for the next few minutes, I really just mean large language models, generative AI, the current hot trend.
Okay, thank you.
2, right now, we're at like the let's call it the 3rd or 4th generation. It's GPT-4, it's Claude 3.5 are the current sort of top models out. And they're good. I mean, look, Claude's the best intern I've ever had. But still an intern.
Well, intern, yeah, chat's mine. Use it all the time. How do I do this? I don't even use Google anymore because it answers me faster and better. Okay. All right.
So that's where it is now, right? It's interns. And if you teach it, if you really spend the time and investment like we do for some of our projects, you can make it like a very good junior level employee. for a specific task.
Yeah.
I think the next year or two, we're going to continue to see that improve, where it's going to be as good as maybe not an intern anymore, but a graduate. Maybe it's just out of the box as good as a junior employee without any teaching.
Uh-huh.
It seems very likely that that is going to happen, just because I think the horsepower is there, and it's just a matter of people setting up the systems. That means that there's a lot of creative people who consider themselves creatives right now who are out of the job because what they do is not actually creative. And this, I catch a little flack for this, but I think it is very important for you to understand, especially if you're a designer, if you're a copywriter, if you're somebody like that, the difference between like what a 1% creative is doing when they're creating something truly new and what most of us are doing when we're being creative, which is just borrowing from our favorite elements of other things we've seen in the past.
Yes.
That number two, they're wiped out by AI. We've already seen it with podcast show notes.
Mm-hmm.
People used to make 70, 100,000 a year being podcast show notes writers. There are next to no podcast show notes writers left because they have been wiped out by AI, because that is a simple summarization task that any intern could do if they're knowledgeable about the subject.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're going to see a lot of that in content. You're either really great at it or you're looking for a new role, because we do all of our content repurposing, not only for myself, but for many of our clients. The architecture we use is fairly easy to set up. It doesn't require any training, and it is 25% accurate, meaning 1 in 4 things it creates are going to require little to no editing from a human before publishing.
Okay.
That's a niche use case. It's designed, it's still requires a human into the loop. That's a level 4 setup, but it's a level 4 setup, and I don't have a ghostwriter anymore doing that thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, it sucks to say, but the reality is AI is in a sense, has been here for a long time. And we as humans need to catch up. We need to be better, do better, strive for better if we want to maintain our level of careers or professionalism. Or so, yeah, I do have a lot of people asking me, is AI gonna, am I gonna lose my job because of AI? And the truth is, it's possible. It's possible. So
I tell my friends, yes.
yeah, okay.
Well, just because I'm
Answers.
early 30s. Most of my friends are mid-career. And if you've got more than 5 years left in the workforce and you're in like a white collar role of some sort, there's a very good likelihood, even if your job is not entirely replaced, it's going to be very significantly impacted.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think about agencies? Like mine, for example. Do you think?
I mean, I run a sort of agency, and as well, yeah, I tell my team, like, I legitimately think that what we do right now, most of the automation work we do is like, we could probably automate ourselves out of the job in 5 years. And I look at that and I talk with my team and we're like, okay, well, we know this thing, we know it's coming. And that's, we're just trying to stay ahead of the curve.
Huh?
And if you're listening to this right now, you're probably ahead of the curve because you're already thinking about these things. I've got plenty of friends who won't use AI, won't talk about it, don't want it in their life, and they're gonna get left behind. So you're already ahead. Don't be that concerned.
Love it. No, I mean, I think you're 100% on point there. I really do. I think that we all need to understand what's happening, what's coming up in the future, and be prepared to pivot, to adjust, to diversify. It's whether it's AI or whether it's computers or whether it was smartphones or whether it was cars, we have to keep up with the technology that human beings are creating. And if you don't, I believe you're right. I think we're going to be left in the dust. So educate yourself. The point is educate yourself about it, right?
Have you ever heard of like exponential growth or a J curve?
Uh-huh.
These are so we talk about like rate of change in terms of different shaped curves.
Yes.
And what we normally think about, the way things most often change is just like this, slow and steady. And what happens is in a J curve, things are slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. And then they hit that hook in the J curve and they go straight up.
Uh-huh.
And the alternative would be an S curve where it hooks up and then it flattens out at the top.
Yep. Okay.
And so right now in AI, and so like a J curve turns into an S curve if it hits a ceiling. Right now, we're right in the J curve when it comes to AI. So the technology is moving super fast. Everything's just hype, 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 hype. And we don't see a ceiling at this point.
Okay.
And that's not to say it won't happen. But it's just not something we've seen yet. It will happen, in fact. There's a million ways. We just don't know where it is.
Yeah. But it's happening. We just got to catch up to it, right?
Yeah. I'm trying.
I'm trying. Obviously, you're doing a great job. As a business owner, an entrepreneur, like what is something that you have failed forward, right? Maybe it's a lesson that you learned from a mistake that you've made. What could you share with our audience?
Yeah. I think this is one I've learned over a lot of bad partnerships and a few good ones, which is you got to keep trusting people. Super important in business, but like, and don't worry, I'll turn this into a robot answer. So in game theory, the optimal solution to the game is to play the game together. So it is to play cooperatively with other people.
Okay, I'm tracking.
Every smart, rich person knows this. And so they play games together. You have to be willing to play games together. And in this case, the game is business in order to continue to improve in the game. Because if you are unwilling to partner and play the game with other people, you will not make it. It's going back to your mentioning that it's all about the people. Like, I cannot stress that enough.
Having the right people in your tribe. Stephen Covey said you have to have the right people in the bus and the right seats in the bus with the right driver. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah. Play game. I've never heard it like that. That analogy is amazing. Play games for people. It's as simple as that. If you were, when you're a kid, if you don't play games with other people, you're left alone.
Terrible way to make money.
Terrible way to make money. Oh, all right. If I think all my listeners need to rewind for like 45 seconds, a minute, and listen to that over again. Play games with people. Okay, so this podcast is called Innovative Entrepreneurs. So my question is, who do you think or who has been the most influential entrepreneur in your life or your business? And it doesn't have to be somebody you know. It can be somebody that you respect. Or
definitely somebody I know. So I'm gonna choose the most recently influential. My I'll call my mentor. I don't know if he'd call me a mentee back, But my old boss, Jesse Pooji, is an entrepreneur here in St. Louis who's been immensely successful. And he's who I went to work for just under 2 years after I sold my last business. And the way I manage and the way I operate today is like fundamentally comes from what he taught me and watching how he operated in his businesses.
Aw. I think that's fantastic. I think that's my favorite question. I hear so many amazing different answers.
That's a great question.
That is a great question. So, Michael, how do people find you? I'm going to put the show notes automatically generated.
Absolutely, they got me.
Let's give yourself a shout out.
So you can find me at thirdbrainautomation.com or at Gent of Tech on social media.
Gent of Tech. Oh, look, it's right there in your name.
Exactly.
All right. Well, I will definitely be connecting. Thank you so much for joining us. You have provided a lot of great information, mind-blowing, cool stuff. I just think it's great. Yeah, I appreciate you. Is there anything you have questions for me? Anything I can do for you before we sign off?
But I think I've just got one question. What's your favorite prompt?
Hi, chat. It gets everything started.
That'll do.
It gets me started, but again, I really do feel like we have to show kindness to the
Yeah, look, I watched Terminator.
Oh,
And that ends otherwise.
I think what I love most is that I can jump on my phone and be like, okay, I need to word this clearer. I need to have this tone. It helps refine my voice because I am, a little bit everywhere, and I can't always get my words out the way that I want them to sound or read, right? So that's what I use AI a lot for, is to help me refine my voice, and we do a lot of analysis with it. So it's check out this website. What do you see? Where are the holes with SEO? Is it, find me their social channels and everything. I mean, something that would have taken us hours to research and put in documents and is now 10 minutes of explaining exactly what I need and, rephrasing and asking, what would you do here? 10 minutes and I've got everything I need. Now it's just my time to review and create my own analysis, right? It's my outline, right? And then it's my job to go in and fill in, the rest. So that's what I use it for.
Love it.
All right. Well, I will make sure that all your information is below. I'm definitely going to be connecting and following. If there's anything I can ever do, please let me know. Okay.
Likewise.
All right. Wow. What a great episode. I hope you had as much fun as I did. If you want more of this goodness, make sure you subscribe so that you get notifications for future podcasts. And if you found value from this, please share it with others. You can visit our website at cwgdigital.com. This is Erica Bailey. I am your host, and I will see you next time.